Hello, and thanks for joining me today. My name is Mike Tellerino, CEO of K9 for Veterans. Today, this podcast is a special place in my heart. We're working with the Fairway Mortgage and American Warrior Initiative. We've got Steve Jacobson, who is the CEO. We got Louise Thaxton. We got Carrie Resnick and Megan Wetland, if I say that correct.
You did, yeah.
We're here today. I want to talk about American Warrior Initiative and just what an amazing program you have that you put together for our veterans. Who would like to go first?
I cue Louise up for that one.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So let me say this, Michael. Number one, thank you for your service, and thank you for the service you continue to do to our veterans by training those dogs, placing those dogs. And we have done several, I don't know the number, but I know you can tell me how many dogs we've done with your company, but it's amazing. And every one of your veterans, they're just incredible people. And it's been an honor to work with you. Now, about the American Warrior Initiative, literally that guy right there, it says Steve Jacobson, but I call him Jake. We just had a culture call this week where I said this, and I'll say it again. None of this would have happened without the CEO and the leadership of Fairway saying, you build it, we'll fund it. And, you know, you don't build a nonprofit without funding. And you don't continue a nonprofit that the proceeds 100% go to veterans, 100 pennies of every dollar. You cannot do that without a company to underwrite that cost. And right here, you have on this podcast, on this show, the guy who underwrites the cost for the American Warrior Initiative. And if there's one person that I could say gets the credit for everything that's happened, the thousands of veterans we've helped, hundreds of lives, I'm going to say we've saved, it's that guy right there. And he doesn't like that. He doesn't like when I do that. And Carrie, you and Megan know he doesn't like it, but you know what? You give credit where credit is due.
Hey, Megan, yes. Carrie, Michael, do you imagine what it might be like to try to argue with Wheezy? I mean, really?
Oh, no. I don't recommend.
Michael, do you know a little secret we won't tell anybody, just you and a couple people on here? The state of Louisiana is now called Boufontana, and they've changed the name and they've changed the maps, and the whole state's a different name. Hey, it's really not any big deal because there's no way. Wheezy's been here 23 years times 100. There's no way. When Wheezy has passion, and you can sense that as you listen, that's what it's all about. When somebody has the passion that Wheezy has, you just get out of her way and let her roll, and that's exactly what she's done. Wow. Anyhow, so it's really a testament to her passion and her energy and her. I mean, I don't know if what you're gonna share as far as your story of going from 70 units to 280 in 1 year because of that hurricane down there in Boufontanaville. It used to be Louisiana, but when you hear that story, Michael, it's all about serving veterans and helping, and that's what the AWI is all about. So, Wheezy, now I'll shut up, but because I was allowed one blurt, Michael, the whole time.
Yeah, maybe not.
I was talking with Megan earlier, and I told the 7 years that we've been providing service dogs to veterans, I've got to work with a lot of companies that want to help veterans and stuff. But I've not worked, and I'm not just saying this because we're on a podcast. I've never met a better group of people who put their veterans first and foremost, and to do what your company and your organization, you got a great team doing the work, and that's what you need. But the passion that American Warrior Initiative has for our veterans, I've never worked with a group that has more passion for what they're doing. So God bless you, and thank you for what you're doing. It means so much to you've changed the lives of so many of our veterans in the time we've been partnered together that, it's just I call it the gift that keeps on giving. It really is. So thank you for what.
Well, I've been honored to serve in some capacity. And so just a blessing for me to be able to have this opportunity. I'm just going to call it that. But and Michael, you and Megan and Carrie and Jake know this. Nothing happens without a team. And I do have an amazing AWI team, and you've met many of them. Farron Barker is he is so awesome, and I don't know how we could do anything without Farron. He's not only the logistics guy, but he's the one that vets the vet, and he talks to the veteran. And if there's gifts, he may spend years talking to veterans. And so right now, he literally still talks to dozens of veterans every week, following up with them and just staying in touch with them. And then Karen Vaughn, which I'm not sure why I text her, but she is a loan officer. She may be having something blow up right now. I don't know, but I've texted her and called her. But Karen Vaughn, being a Gold Star mother, and to come alongside us and share the true cost of freedom. I mean, how blessed are we to have someone like her who's had a national stage, but yet she's part of the American Warrior Initiative, and she's so passionate about what is the true cost of freedom. And April Giddens and Beth Lee, the two photographers, Ryan Welch, who is our videographer. In this day and age, you need to capture it. And Carrie, you know this because Ryan and April and Beth do a really good job of capturing the images of what we do and then sharing them with the world, because we want those images and those videos to touch hearts, and other people will go, you know what? I want to do that. I see what they're doing. I want to do that. So and Paula Wilcox, who handles our accounting, and she is amazing, and just a great team. I just wanted to say we've got people that ship shirts, ship cups, ship hats, just a great team.
That's why when we put a new veteran into the program, we put their service dog out on Facebook, because we want the world to see what we're doing with their money. I could sit here all day long and say, oh yeah, we do this and we do that and we do this, we do. That's just words. When they can actually see the veteran with the service dog, that's an amazing gift.
And Michael, one of the things that and Carrie and Megan are on here, like Carrie's team, and when we did this in Chicago, it was literally Fairway people who gave through payroll deduction or through their P&L. They would give the American Warrior Initiative to help fund that dog. So they knew that there was they know the need, and then they do their part to fill their need, whether it's paying $22 a month or $200 a month. And the money they give gets tied to their branch and to their location. So they not only get to know their money is going for a veteran, it's going for a local veteran. Carrie, that makes a difference, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. I mean, we've got the generosity of heart and spirit, learn how to better help and serve the veteran community, active military and veteran community. That's really where it all comes from, all the support.
American Warrior Initiative providing the service dog and they pay for all the training, that's one thing. But again, this is where you step up to the plate and really prove what you're all about. You give that veteran an extra check for himself. And they are in shock and awe when that happens. They've never expected that. It is a complete shock to them. And they just feel so overwhelmed that I hear about it for weeks after we have the event. I mean, that's what an amazing gift it is, what you're doing for our veterans. I can't thank you enough, because I get to see the transformation in them every day by what you're doing to help our veterans. And I wish you'd all come in and watch them train with their service dogs. Then you'd really see what I mean. It's
that financial grant, Michael, that's what we love to do when we have these real estate events where realtors are brought in, and you might have 100 or 150 real estate agents in the room. We tell them about Red Friday, which we're all wearing red, but you, Michael. But I always excuse those veterans. They're not wearing red on Friday, so you're excused.
We told you she was going to find you.
You're wearing the flag. I see that. But when you share with agents that today you can do one thing. None of us can do everything, but all of us can do one thing. And you can buy a Red Friday shirt. And then we hope that Red Friday shirts are all over the community, but their money goes to that veteran. So they know when you have an event and the attendees say, you know what, I want to do one thing today, and they get to do one thing by buying that shirt or buying 10 shirts or whatever. and then they get to wear that shirt and tell everybody
Right.
else.
You know, again, I've worked with a lot of organizations and stuff. The heart that you put into what you're doing, we love partnering with you. When I got the call or the email a couple weeks back that you were going to do another event November 2nd, and you were thinking about choosing K9, one of our veterans, to be the recipient, I thought, you know, this is amazing. It really is. I can't thank you enough for our veterans because it just means the world to them.
You know, Michael, I will say this about our CEO. When we were starting this, I asked him, I go, like, how are the costs going to
We're
be
very sure
covered?
maybe we can make it 4.
And he said, you know, we'll cover the cost. And these were his words, and I always remember this. He goes, they served us, now we serve them. And this is our way of serving. I hate to say giving back, because how can you, when people put their lives on the line, when they're willing to take a bullet for you, when they're willing to leave their families for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, be deployed, you know, how can you ever pay that back? All you can do is give back in some way that we feel, can this help? Will this help? And we love partnering with you, Michael, to do that. This is one thing we can do. Not giving a handout to our veterans, but a hand up.
Exactly. And that's exactly what it is, because, you know, before they get that service dog, they really, you know, in the military, I've always said I've always had a battle buddy, somebody who always had my back, somebody I can count on, who's not going to let me get in trouble, who's going to be there for me. And when they get that service dog, that becomes their battle buddy.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. They got somebody they can always depend on. And it's just amazing. It really is what they mean to our veterans and stuff. So again, I can't tell you what it means to them to be a recipient. So like I said, getting back to when I got that email, I went, oh, okay. Here we go with another happy veteran. And I couldn't wait. I got a hold of Reggie Latuca, our vice president, and I said, we need to pick the right veteran for November 2nd. So we did. Reggie found it, and it just, you know, like I said, he thinks he's training that dog for someone else.
I'm so excited for him.
That is the, you know, I remember the veterans that we've worked with for you, Michael, and that one young man, I remember talking to him back in the green room, and he was like, yeah, I said, how's that going to be when I felt a little guilty because I was a little bit deceptive. How's that going to be when you have to turn him over? And he goes, well, it's not going to be easy.
Oh, it's not. Like I said, I went to the center last week and I met the veteran that you're going to be doing on November 2nd. And I said, don't get too attached to that dog. You know, this is a temporary thing. You know, this veteran, he can't come into Chicago to train. So, you know, you're doing it by proxy. And he goes, yeah, I know. So he's going to be in complete shock when you.
There's not going to be a dry eye in the house.
Amazing.
Louise, you're so good at it. Let me tell you something. You are amazing at these presentations. I mean, you're just.
I keep telling my realtors when they come, you'll never hear a better speaker than Louise Thaxton. So I
get lessons from Louise. Believe me.
You know what my husband says? You know what if he were on this call, do you know what my husband would say right now? Well, if there's one thing she knows how to do, it's talk. That's right.
But there's nothing as cute as a Southern accent as well.
That's right.
You got it going on. So tell me about the event on the 2nd.
Yeah, I'll take that. So little bit of my background. When I first started at Fairway, I have a huge passion for veterans. My husband's a veteran. My first week at Fairway, I was blessed enough to attend an AWI event. And I remember leaving that event back in 2019 going, oh my gosh, I'm going to do this someday. And I relocated about a year ago to Chicago from Washington, where my husband and I were he was stationed at JBLM. And I just remember going, I think, Louise, we booked this date like a year ago. It
We
was
did.
literally a year ago. I was emailing them like, can I reserve this date? I'm doing it. And they were like, a year ahead, we don't know what we're doing. I was like, I'm doing it. And so I just want to be a part of it. It's in my DNA to support our veterans. Like I said, my husband's a veteran. It's very near and dear to my heart. And I've been to 3 AWI events now, but this will be my first one in Illinois. And I'm excited to bring it here to the south side of Chicago, have our community really support this local veteran. And I'm just really excited. It's going to be a great event. We have 2 speakers coming now, I believe. We have Karen and Jason, so that's a bonus, right?
Great.
And I'm just so excited to share it with everyone here in down south.
Ask me a question. Doing what you do for our veterans, I mean, it's truly a gift. But how did this all come about? That's what I want to know. Who brainstormed this?
Oh my goodness. We got asked that question just this week, didn't we, Jake? So in 2005, I'll just tell a short story. I literally, Hurricane Rita hit Louisiana. I needed to make a lot of money. I knew a realtor who was in a military town. I said, hey, can I come? And that's how we get business, Michael, is loan officers are looking for realtors to partner with. And she asked me, do you know VA loans? Which I did not. Now, because I had been in a small rural community, not a military town. Now, my father was a Vietnam veteran, and my stepfather was World War II and Korea War veteran. So both of those, but I was not born during their time of service. Well, my biological father, I was, but I did not really experience the military life, unlike what Megan, whose husband who has served, and she has been the military spouse, and she understands that. But when I went into that town, my first client was a young man in the Army who just got back from Iraq. This was in 2005. And I sat across that table from him, and it just hit me. This young man has just given service for me to protect my freedom. And I had to do it right. So Linda ended up, and Jake said it at the beginning, how did I quadruple my business in just a few months? It was falling in love with serving those who serve. But as I started to help them with their home loans, and Megan knows this, and Carrie knows this, if you're sitting across the table from them and you truly are, I'm going to say a good loan professional, you want to know some of their story. You're not just trying to get the numbers. You want to get to know them. And so I started to get to know these soldiers better, and I saw that the need was greater than just a home loan. I thought, you know what? If I am going to serve in this military town, and I'm going to serve them through a home loan, I need to serve them in another way, to go above and beyond. So that's what happened, and it escalated. I actually became somewhat of an anomaly in the mortgage business because I quadrupled my business in just a short time, and everybody was asking me how, and I said, falling in love with serving those who serve. And they go, well, how do you do that? And then in 2011, Jake actually told me, he says, why don't you build something where you teach loan officers what you're doing? And in 2011 and in 2012, we partnered with another nonprofit called the Boot Campaign and gave back hundreds of thousands of dollars in mortgage-free homes through that nonprofit. But then in 2014, we created our own nonprofit, the American Warrior Initiative. And a lot of that was we could help more local. Partnering with a national nonprofit, we leaned on what their mission was and how they gave. And that you understand that. Like if there's any military nonprofit, you give your money, but they dictate how the money is spent. So right. I guess we're control freaks. We said, you know what? Why don't we have people donate? And then we can control. Okay, so if it's in Chicago, we can choose a Chicago veteran. And we can direct that. And also people who live in Chicago and the Chicagoland area can donate, and they know they're donating to help one of their hometown boys.
Exactly.
And so that actually was the start of it, Michael. And I said all that really quick. Someone said, did you have a plan? No, we did not have a plan. It was just, I knew there was a need. I had teammates around me that knew a lot more than me. And we would just do the next right thing. Partner with one nonprofit, creating our own nonprofit, and then just literally hearing a veteran say that dog saved my life, the first dog in 2017. And then, wow, if there's something that saves lives, should we do more of it? And that's how we've come to, as of today's date, 343 dogs since we started placing.
Amazing. Repeat that. 343 dogs in 7 years.
And you know the cost of those dogs. You know, the average cost is around 15,000. It could be 10, it could be 20, but the average cost is around 15,000.
Right.
We've had some more expensive if they were a dog specifically trained for something very, very specific that it might take 3 years of training. They might cost more. So you do the math. 343 dogs in 7 years with an average cost of $15,000 a dog. There's been a lot of giving people at Fairway, a lot of giving people at Fairway. That is money that people have given out from their hearts and donated it. And then we could use that money to like partner with you, Michael, and fund the dogs that you have trained with veterans that you have on your list. So that our goal is by December 31st of this year, our goal is 350. So we got 7 more to go.
We'll do it. We'll do it.
We will.
You think you'll hit it?
Oh,
We will. Yes, I know.
Listen, I don't doubt it. I think you'll probably exceed it. But again, a thank you isn't enough. Companies like yourself and Steve, you got to be a hell of a guy. You really do.
Well, Michael, I'm gonna share one story
Yeah.
with you about that whole thing
Sure.
for the dogs. So we were going down a path of doing mortgage-free homes, and we had done I don't know how many of those, Wheezy, and those were
24.
it was about a 15 to 20,000 per deal spend. Is that fair?
No, it was 30,000 per
Okay,
house.
so that tells you a lot right there, Michael. See, she doesn't even allow me in the meetings, but the story goes, one of the major banks in the country was upset because we were doing what we were doing, and so we scheduled a meeting with them. Location doesn't matter. Weezy and I met at this location with one of the main people at the bank. The meeting, I would guess, if we were in there 3 minutes, it was a stretch, because there was so much arrogance and there was so much disdain for us. It was like we hadn't showered in 100 years. Okay, so we said, okay, guys, we haven't showered for 100 years. We're gonna exit stage left, and as we left, we're just gonna change. We're gonna change our direction. We're not fighting this. And so, really, the whole thing with Fairway made a twist and a turn in a second. And you say, what was the plan? No plan. It was the nudge from let's say the man upstairs, and it was so obvious there was no way we could fight that battle. So we just shifted gears, and that's where the dogs came into play. Is that fair, Wheezy?
Yes.
And I'm not sure it was 3 minutes. It might not have been that long, because once the rhetoric was said, I just looked and said, let's get out of here. And the lady said, what's there to talk about? There's nothing to say. And we left.
You know, your team is such a good team, and what they're doing is such great work. And you, as a CEO and founder, to allow them the freedom to do what they're doing, that's what I find amazing. Because most CEOs are like, got to be hands-on, got to do, where you're giving your team the leadway to do what they do best. And they're doing great.
Michael, this call we've been on for 26 minutes. Have you learned in 26 minutes there's no arguing? Have you understood that? Listen, Boo Fontana, the state of Louisiana got changed its name.
What are
we gonna say?
When I first met Louise, I thought, nah, she's a tough cookie. She's tough. I'm not going up against her.
Hey, Michael, two things with that. With the best heart in the world, number one. Number two, what you have to do, Michael, you gotta negotiate. This is a tough negotiation. You got to get her to make some Southern fried pies. That's all I'm gonna say. They're unbelievable. I mean, they're ridiculous. Hey, if we all had 2 weeks to live and that's all we had, we would say, Wheezy, make enough fried pies that I die of sugar overdose way before the 2 weeks is up. it will be okay. I mean, it's just the way it goes.
Oh my God, that's hysterical. So you're not only a good talker, but you're a great baker.
Well,
no, Wheezy, it's ridiculous. It is.
So I have a big family. I have a big family, lots of kids and grandkids, and so you got to cook. You know, from the South, you cook.
God bless you. You have such an amazing team. I know Canine is just so proud to work with your organization. I mean, it's just a lift up for us. It does. When I got that email, I thought the last two that we did would be, great, and we're overjoyed with having those two dogs. But then when I got that email for the third dog, I went, thank you.
We're not done yet.
You can thank Megan for that, because Megan is the one who was, she booked this event a year ahead of time. Thank you, Megan, for trusting us to come into your town and your community to share with your real estate agents. And thank you, Carrie, for always, getting us to your teams up there, several Fairway teams. And so, I will say this, there's not a company that has a better leader than we do. Now, sometimes he doesn't tell the truth when he talks about, I live in Bufantana. Okay. So you gotta, other than that, there's not a company that has a better leader. And I don't think there's a company that has more giving people, because everything that we do is funded by the employees of Fairway. And I wish every company in America would do that. Wouldn't it be great if every company did that?
I was just going to say that.
The humility of our company is amazing.
Should be the example of what other companies should be doing for our veterans. Because what you're doing to help our veterans, like they wrote a check that was blank. They didn't care, So when they come home, it's so hard for them to ask for help, because a lot of them feel they're not deserving of it. They're too proud for it. So when we go up to them and say, look, we've got someone that wants to sponsor a service dog just for you, or even when we're telling them they're not even training their own dog, and this dog is, being trained by it's just amazing. It really is. So God bless you and your entire team for what you're doing. You're doing God's work. You really are. You're saving lives. You're not just providing a service dog. Take it from me, someone who's around it every day. You are saving lives. You really are with that service dog. We had over 126 dogs in our program, and we have not lost one to PTSD suicide.
That is wonderful. That
Wow.
That's amazing.
We built a memorial in Shanahan State Park for veterans who committed suicide because of their PTSD. It's an amazing, beautiful, belongs in Washington type of memorial. I don't ever want to add another name to that memorial.
No, we don't.
Never.
Well, thank you for all you do, Michael. Thank you, Megan, for inviting us up in a few weeks. Thank you, Carrie, for always being such a supporter of the American Warrior Initiative. Jake, for funding it, and just love being a part of this amazing group.
Well, God bless you, all of you, for what you're doing. We can't thank you enough. Canine loves partnering with Fairway. It's just an amazing deal all the way around. So thank you for being my guest today and help spread the word about how we're going to help our veterans.
Thank you, everybody.
Love working with you.
Have a
See you on
great
November
day.
2nd.